Right.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, wait, no, when is this for? Not the, but no, but this, is that for?
Yes.
Are you all set?
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome. We are committee of the call for January 27th, and welcome to the public. With the agenda is last one. I would like to grab up roll for the agenda. Move from Council Nicholson, second. Second. Yeah, it's one, Hendricks. There in my first one. Please have the approval for June 16, the minutes.
This is June 18th, and just a reminder that councilors, Patterson, file, and so if you guys would be going on at 10, so that meeting polls, you're going on that and make the motion in 7.
I move.
Move for Warren Organ,
Second.
second, Council Baddeck. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, so we have policy and bylaws review, so I will pass to you with that.
Okay, you got your spreadsheet up? I do. Beautiful. Jess, can I get this on the screen?
Oh,
Can I get that? on the spreadsheet? Oh, sorry, sure. Oh, that's. Also remember to use your microphones. Okay, so you guys were all given a list of the current bylaws and policies that Victoria County has. You'll notice some of them are old as me, which is not that old, but so yeah, we just wanted to go through this process of, I'm sure you've all had time and know the bylaws and policies in and out. So we just wanted to go through a process of either we're repealing some of these policies and bylaws, revising them, and some of them, like the municipal grants policy, it's up for current review right now. So over the last couple of years, we were getting better with the review process with the bylaws. Some bylaws have never been reviewed again, but any new bylaws that we've put into circulation have a expiration date, for lack of a better term, and so they need to be reviewed by a certain time. Municipal grants being one of them. So I'll kind of look to you guys to, how do you guys want to do this? You want to go bylaw by bylaw, policy by policy? And if you have any recommendations or changes that you want to make, is that how you want to do this?
Yeah, because I have some like just general, because I have some just general recommendations. Like bylaws that have fees in them, they should be reviewed more regularly because the fees are changing externally on other sources, but not in the bylaws.
Yes, for sure. So the first one, the first bylaw is a great example. So we have an auctioneers, peddlers, hawkers, and trader of goods bylaw that was created in 1982, based on the audit trail. I don't think that was ever reviewed again. So my thought on that one, it should be a vendor's bylaw, and within that vendor's bylaw, you can include food trucks, taxis, pop-up markets. In the 5 years that I've been here, I've had requests for one taxi permit, which I gave them. I had to make it up, but I used this bylaw as and it was a $75 fee because it has never been reviewed, or a $50 fee. And I should add that any time that we don't have a bylaw or policy, we always refer to what the province is doing. So in this case, you know, I believe in the village of Baddeck, food trucks were brought up as, it was separate, we had nothing to do with it, but they go to the county first. I did have some questions about food trucks, in the initiative 1.2. And since we don't have a specific bylaw related to food trucks, we just defer to whatever the province does. So if the province says you need a food license to operate a food truck, then for the county, you need a food license to operate.
So,
So do you want to go right down the list, or do you want to just come with recommendations for certain?
any suggestions, or are we just, advice? Suggestions? None?
I suggest we go down the list, and if anybody has questions, you can stop then. If not, just keep going.
Okay, so auctioneers, peddlers, hawkers, and trader of goods bylaw, repeal, revise, review.
I think that is, that's just brand new, we just,
So if you say, for example, repeal, we repeal that one and change it to a vendor's benefit bylaw. So you get rid of that one altogether and we can replace it with a different one. That's more current.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
billing by law,
And if you want to make note of the dates, that's why I put the dates that they were, put into the bylaw.
council, I need your suggestions. Anybody?
Not building permit, though. Seems not.
Fine, okay. Consider addressing by law. Lisa?
Civic adjustment, yes.
No, it's building permit fees bylaw.
No, we'd say instead.
So there's two.
There's
building
Building bylaw.
and
The building permit fees.
Oh, the building permit, please.
Again, I don't know why we have one that has fees when the fees are changing regularly outside of that bylaw.
And we also actually have a municipal fees policy, so we can certainly have that in there.
And these are administered by district planning.
Yeah.
So we're leaving those? So we revise, we're putting that in revise?
If we're taking out and be repeal, we're
We'll
moving
take
it over
over.
to, okay, yeah, I'm moving it over to the municipal fees. And once I have this list, I'll be coming to council with the repeal functions for all of these as well.
Okay, civic addressing by law?
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure what the wording is in the bylaw. My experience last fall, most people do have their civic address displayed on the, but unfortunately, a lot of them only have it in one direction. And to me, you don't know what direction the ambulance is going to be going with. By following, you know.
Yeah, no, it specifically states that if it's out at the road, you have to have it on both sides, so both sides of traffic can see it. It can be one-sided if it's on your house.
Okay, thanks, Don. So maybe we should look at, if we do in the future hire a bylaw officer or whatever. To, have people comply with that, comply with the bylaw is probably not the problem, but it's the way people are interpreting it or using. They're displaying their numbers, no question. Most of them are blue numbers that they're very distinctive. But unfortunately, for a lot of them, it's in one direction. So maybe something we could just make a note of for now, and put that either on.
In my district, doing the campaigning, a lot of numbers missing, a lot of numbers missing.
So they don't have it.
an emergency to the ambulance and you ask them.
It's a good thing some local people are on the ambulance, but I don't like it. Find.
So
So
like,
maybe we should, look at an education campaign or whatever about these, because it's, you know, you can sit for years and have no number, and then all of a sudden, when an emergency arrives, the ambulance can go by, the fire trucks go by, the police can go by, and unless you have that number displayed, it's very difficult to find, properties.
So we release.
so is the direction of council, looking at, making sure that you've got kind of do a communication piece around compliance and education around this?
Yes, I agree with that.
Commercial development district requirement, CBD word, bylaw. That's,
So this one will have to be amended when we have a new. This one will have to be amended when we have a new sewer and water system in place in Natividge. So we will need an amendment to add the new areas into it. So it will be revised.
the transfer tax bylaw.
Yeah, that one was revised because of the rate. There was a change in the rate in 2021. Let me just be a review on that one. This one, I'll take watch it. Yeah, yeah. But
Dog control bylaw, yes. What's it for?
The only question I had on that one, it said draft when you opened it, so I'm wondering if there was a reason why it's still under draft, under the deed transfer. Yes, it does say that. Yeah.
Thank you.
for that and see what that is.
It says council approved date, April 19th, well, April 19th, 2021, it says approved date.
Dog control bylaw.
I think that one's gonna fall into the same thing as the civic addressing. Because a lot of people still have no idea that they're supposed to.
Probably just wanted to touch or something.
It's a more, I do see it as an awareness campaign. I've asked people, a lot of people do not realize that you have to register your dog. So.
Thank you. Electronic voting bylaw.
So with the, if the dog control bylaws summary offense schedule. That one, or we should skip it.
Skipper.
We only have, right now, we only have one dog offense person. Is that something that we're going to look into again? We're talking about getting
Yeah, so we're in the process of, and that's a hard job.
yes,
Dog control is a hard job. We are looking at hiring a bylaw enforcement officer. But we've also been in discussions with Inverness County on sharing some services. So it might be something that we look at for that, and dog control could be something related to that as well. Or currently we have an SPCA agreement for storing dogs if they're issue dogs. I don't think it's used very often right now, so if we could find another partner, it might be very beneficial to us. So there's a few things in relation to that that we're going to look at. So we will be revising and doing that.
so we're going to say revise on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Electronic voting bylaw. We just have that. Over.
So this bylaw is very specific to 2020 and not any future bylaws. So
So you think, because that doesn't make any sense yet.
So that's an example of a great one that you could very well repeal, because you're not going back.
That would be my projection.
Yeah, okay. Repeal that, emergency management bylaws.
Emergency.
Yes.
And they still is still.
It is.
Yes, so I think I'm Quebec, oh, yeah.
With the emergency management bylaw, I believe it says that we need to have a committee form. I just wanted to ask that question. Do we have a committee for this bylaw?
Or can we do it, I can finish it, what is it?
Sorry. So for this emergency management bylaw, I believe inside this bylaw, it states that we need to have a committee formed for this bylaw. And I'm just asking that question if we have a committee.
So we have done training. Our training is usually a committee, staff, and we bring in the board, at certain points for the training that we have in relation to emergency management. Lyle's quite good to do that once every couple of years, but the province is also doing some more training now as well. So yes, we do. We do have a committee of staff members.
Great, thank you.
Standard organizations, tax exempt bylaw.
So that is one that we do, I believe we need a bylaw to enforce or to allow tax exemptions. We do have policies in relation to the tax exemptions that we offer, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. This one, because the grant policy replaces it. Okay.
So repeal, this one's repeal.
Repeal. Because we have a policy here. One is a difference. Minimum housing standards by law,
That one has, we have to revise stuff in there
You
because
also skipped marking when you filed.
oh, sorry. Okay, so, okay, marketing with by law.
So that is one that we have rates in as well. So I believe we have just made a change. I don't know if it actually has to go in the bylaw. We have a new administrator of the marketing levy. So we're gonna have to review to see if it says anything in relation to the administration of that. So we can review that, and then we should also review for rates whenever these need changes.
it says it has to be reviewed and approved by council. Next review is November 2025.
That's a one we'll be doing this year.
Now, minimum housing standard by law.
Yes, that one we definitely need to review and revise because it's not aligned with the Nova Scotia Building Code regulations for dimensional tolerances. Their dimensions are off, like 60 in their the original document, it has about 60 square feet for bedrooms, 40 square feet per person, but in the new Nova Scotia Building Code regulations, so it doesn't allow for tiny houses. So it has to be revised.
Revised. Alright. Property assets, clean energy, is, yeah, that's right. We do last year.
So that's one that we have for offering low interest rates for homes to be have some retrofits for energy efficiency. And we did just,
Which is a amount.
we revised that for the amount in 2024. The whole, the fee schedule was amended. And the policy is basically written by PACE program, and they haven't given us any revisions on that. We can review it, but the amount of the loan, or the application has changed. So those are things that we should review and just update.
Smoking bylaw,
This is one, that I recommend, just repealing. It's a provincial law now anyway, and I don't think we need this one.
solid waste management bylaw.
So we've done amendments to that over the past while as well. We made some changes to the city. We changed that whenever rules come into play. Changes with current environments, what they allow at our transfer station. So it's one we should at least review and look into to see that it has everything. There's also, we may want to wait a little bit because EPR is also really adopted to sign in with EPR. So there's probably going to be some changes coming along with this. So this would be one to have to look at this year.
Review.
Any chances of the other counties in our district going to clear bags?
It's in the works.
Major problem at the campgrounds in the summer. Major problem,
It's,
which is costly to us too, right? That's
Yes.
probably something good for us to bring up since I'm on the solid waste. Maybe that could be a discussion that we could bring up there, definitely.
We review this. Conservation bylaw.
This is one that's needed through district planning. So we take our direction from district plan. So we should certainly review it, but
Review. You don't know the name. Water supply septic upgrading program bylaw. Yeah. Upgrade that.
we mentioned the fees on that as well. So it's one that we could review and change the dates on at least. If nothing else changes on them, just these are all these with review on them. It could just be having fresh eyes on them and re-adopting them.
Yard sale bylaw. This was last year.
That was a new one last year.
Yeah.
Came in play. We could review or leave to the deadline for reviewing.
Yeah,
Probably not
it
as-
says November.
So it's probably not as urgent since it was.
Okay. Those were policies. Breastfeeding policy.
Again, like the smoking, it's provincial, it's federal.
Can we go back to bylaws for a second? I know we have issues because we don't have a bylaw enforcement officer, but I noticed that we are the only county that doesn't have a noise bylaw. Are these things just because of issues with enforcement that we don't have some of these bylaws on the books?
No, we started down the road on a community standards bylaw a few years ago. We had several discussions on it. It got tabled, and then we never got back.
I can send around the draft in public community standards file that was drafted and presented to council a couple of years ago, and we can review that.
Okay, thank you.
I believe, did that cover the graffiti stuff as well, Leanne?
Before we go policy, do you want any more bylaws to even add or talk? So,
Is there any other counties that have fireworks bylaw?
Changes
Is that
that.
right? It's just Port Hawkesbury.
Sorry, fireworks.
Yeah. Seems to be just Port Hawkesbury that getting a lot of complaints about fireworks.
I'll check, I think that was part of the noise section of the community standards, but I'll double check on that.
Okay, thank
But we
you.
can certainly add that in.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, there was one, a litter bylaw. I noticed that when looking at the things they have, Inverness has litter bylaw, but there's a lot of issues with litter, just in my district alone.
Yeah, and there is a provincial bylaw with that. That's why you see the no littering, the fines, 250,000. That was brought to council. A council brought that up in one of his districts, with the RCP when they were here. Enforcement of it is next to impossible unless they physically see somebody catch.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I was just, thanks for
I
clarification.
was told to take pictures.
Okay, so let's go on to jump policies. Code of conduct for council and, the promise me,
Sorry.
code of conduct.
Oh, this is breastfeeding policy. Yeah, I don't know if that's necessary to keep on our books as a policy. It's a provincial and national standard now, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the same thing.
And yeah, so the next one, sorry, Carla, the next one is the code of conduct for council policy. Our recommendation is we should, adopt a council procedural policy instead. And I'm currently drafting that right now. And when that's completed, I can pass that on to council for consideration. But it's just something, just to give a heads up.
So are you suggesting that, we repeal the code of conduct for council policy?
I believe it should be repealed and replaced with the council procedural policy.
Council go with that?
Yes.
Close with.
And also you guys just signed a code of conduct policy, the province took that over. So we need to repeal this one anyway, but we can certainly have our own, council procedural policy. Since now you are all under the provincial standards for that code of conduct.
Okay, the council communication policy. In process.
This one says it should be reviewed every 4 years, January and election years.
Dangerous unsightly premises policy. To.
This is adopted in conjunction with the.
So we repeal that.
My, suggestion on any of the ones with district planning might be to have district planning have a look and look at them revising with any new rules, regulations that are in place. So we could task John Bain's team with those ones.
Electronic meeting policy. Review this one. Do we need to review?
It says we need to review it every 4 years. January.
Are you open? Engagement with, putting consolidated policy.
That's one that we have for any bylaws that we are trying to pass, that could have implications with the, neighboring, municipalities, and I believe it's required. And it was here in 2023, it's probably out, so, we can review in the future.
Black policy. In that was.
This is also, I believe, was adopted.
Is that the-
provincially and nationally standards for flags. We've since we fly our own flags, like we have the First Nations flag and Big Mouth, or every child matters flag and the Big Mouth flag as well. And we've added two flag poles to the front of the building so we could allow them to fly, or sorry, county flag. So we're supposed to fly to the front.
So are you suggesting we don't need, or,
I don't think we need a flag policy.
The municipal fee policy,
this is the 2023 one, this probably have something listed in there that it goes along with other, like, fees change somewhere, but, we can review, certainly. I'm not sure we need to change.
Need to make one small change because it was directed that the building permit fees be added to the municipal fees policy.
Review possible amendments.
municipal grants policy.
Maybe we'll just hold that for a sec because Alex is gonna give you guys a full recommendation for municipal grants. So if you're okay to move on to that.
So it will be reviewed.
Travel expense policy, municipal travel expenses as well.
I think this needs to be reviewed. Again,
Definitely.
yeah.
Municipal waste collection of private roads policy. That's new too.
Yeah, we wrote reference report on that in 2023. It doesn't have a date or years for renewal done, so it's not as a priority, but we do have a policy in place.
It says review every 2 years.
What is it? Yeah, okay, so let's review it.
This year. Procurement policy,
That follows also provincial standards.
Yeah.
I believe it's a provincial law for municipalities, those figures, right, I mean, over a certain amount. I don't think we made those amounts up, right?
public participation policy.
I believe this one should also be part of the council procedural policy, the new council procedure policy. There should be a public participation section within that.
Did we pass municipal Victoria to the Facebook and user guidelines?
Those are guidelines, it's not a policy.
So,
And
we don't,
yeah, there's a communications plan
Okay.
being directed.
thank you.
So on that one, are you saying that can be reviewed? I'm sorry.
Repealed for public participation. That allows us, if it's repealed, it allows us to put that section into
The council.
the capital procedure policy.
Records management policy,
This is one that we need to review and revise.
safety policy. Okay.
I think maybe the safety policy and the sexual discrimination policy, as employees of the county, we're all subject to sign, a code of conduct as employees of the municipality as well. So I think, I'm not sure if we need a separate policy or not, or maybe it's a provincial thing that we've got to have. I'm not sure, but we certainly have to sign a code of conduct.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see more internal HR policies than public policies.
Yeah, agreed, and we do have this in terms.
Right. And we take safety very, it's very important.
Yeah, we're required to have a safety committee, and we have those once a month. And we also go to the box, sections within that too that we report to all of our sites, including this one. So I think the safety and sexual discrimination policy can both be repealed as we have an internal.
Yeah, they're redundant, basically.
Can workplace harassment be included in that?
It is.
It is. In the conduct of this. Social media policy. I think we have here. Oh, going to the communication planning as well, yeah.
Yes. So it can be repealed because it'll be part of the communications.
July policy.
This is one that's being reviewed.
I have.
I'm assuming we did review and made some changes to that in
Yeah,
2022 related to the positioning of the lights and, accounting for some more work that council had put into it. It's probably a pretty good policy. We could certainly review it.
yeah, I would like to review it. As for coming in for this.
That says to be reviewed yearly.
Let's do it.
Next, I want a collection policy. That's okay.
And yeah, that's the rate. Yeah, I think that it had the percentage that we changed on it. Yes.
Okay.
We can certainly review.
Review. And workplace harassment, discrimination, that was.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Any policies that you'd like to share? You have interested? Research. Right? Right? Good.
So I would think if we're reviewing them, we'll probably just have a look to see that they are, still relevant. We put our new signatures on them with Warden and move forward saying that they're still a good policy. If it's something that we want to revise, we could probably, as we get into it, as we're reviewing it, if we have to revise it, because if it could get moved to the revised column, if it's not, something that is just the new. Pretty good with that. If it calls for a review, we can revise it.
I think we'll also look at, revision dates as well and make sure that, that's set up as a reminder in the calendars. And then we know every year what's out to be reviewed. But that's a great thing about policies and bylaws. They're always working documents. So, thank you guys for taking the time to review those. But fun and exciting. So. And Alex, I think you will go over the municipal grants policies.
Anybody else, you'd like to start any policy?
Guess if we, like, if Alice is gonna go over the grants one, we can, just wondering for the interest of time, if you want to start on any other ones here, or do we want to leave those and have you read them? The land use one? So, we've received from the province, based on our request for an extension. We've received an extension until March 31st, 2025. I received a timeline on what we need to get what we need to get done so that we can meet that deadline, because there's 2 weeks for the first reading, and there's 2 weeks for the second reading. We've asked council to come up with members of the public to come forward and sit on a committee. I've only heard from one member that put their name forward on their own. So I don't know if you've received any interest from anyone.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't get any of those.
Yeah.
So we have from January 31st, 1 week for council and district planning to review the final drafts. February 10th to be a committee of the whole for 2 weeks to make any final changes, including zoning requests to public inquiries. February 21st could be the first reading, March 24th could be the public hearing and second reading, and March 28th could be the province's end of March deadline. We are on an extremely tight deadline. That's moving forward. So those are the deadlines. Not sure where you want to go. Are we waiting for public to form a committee, or are we going forward with council as the committee?
But we decide in the meeting, in the council meeting, the council will be the committee and just get through the deadline, and it's still open for the full week unto comments later. But we have to just start moving this planning. So you have some meetings in your district. Do you have any interest people sit down?
I've already had, a request come through and I've already had it. And those suggestions were sent through to planning.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can have some deadlines and just pull it.
Okay, so we'll be scheduling a meeting with Upland to come. They might be virtual, I'm not sure what their plan is, they might be in person. So we'll have Upland come to go over changes that they heard at the last meetings that we had, and go forward with, if council agrees to those changes, or changes that they feel are in the best interest. They'll bring those forward, and then we gotta turn this around. So we will be planning a meeting there.
Yeah, I think we need to follow that deadline.
So we can do the recommendation. Yeah, just, I mean, no, motions here, just recommendations to do the deadlines. Yeah. Perfect. Anything else? I have one, about private roads. I would like to, if the staff can, some recommendation, some private roads, they don't meet the standards from public works. But if we could find as municipal grants or something, because we're going to go to top 2 budget very soon. So like we don't have very low policy asset the LC policy in past. So I was thinking something, if organization they have private road, they can figure out we can have a grant for them, but it's just that's the requirements, the typical requirements for the year. First consequences.
Well, I know we have a couple of.
Uh.
Oh, I thought I was loud enough.
Now,
I know we have a couple of roads, a couple of private roads in English that are in disastrous condition. And because they are private roads, the province, they'll plow them as a courtesy, but they don't do anything to repair.
Yeah, I have a few of them in my
They're
district.
desperate need of repair.
so that can be one that we can add as a discussion, that we can reach out to see if there's any other around the province. Come back to council if that's council's wish to discuss something in relation to a private road.
Yeah, because there was one of the private roads in my district where it's now being used for well access. So that was when they came up about some type of maintenance agreement, since it's being used for well access for the entire.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so with the company then. And for last, we have,
Grants.
comments, programs. Sorry, comments. Chair. Okay, so as Steph said, this did not make it into the council folder, so I'm just bringing it up on the screen, and I'm gonna go through the little thing. So it's not there, so I'm gonna talk about the municipal grant policies, just a snap. We did a whole comprehensive overhaul, review of policy and procedure in March 2020. Established a new process, new requirements, new criteria, and that bylaw that was recently, that was just addressed, should have been repealed when this came into play. So then in January 2024, we revisited this again, and we had some further recommendations to enhance the process. So this included having striking a staff evaluation committee, putting all the applications online for counselors to access. Prior to that, we used to print them and put them in binders, which was a lot of work and a lot of freeze. So we changed that, and then the process had turned into initial evaluations done by staff, who then put forward a recommendation to council, and that came to council for review, and then council will approve or modify the recommendation forward. So we did this last year. It went really well in terms of saving time, I think, around the council table, and we used to spend like a day to a day going in grants. So now the time effort has shifted towards staff rather than on council. And yeah, we try to make sure they're aligned with strategic priorities. We try to make sure that there was some equitability in terms of conference centers and fire departments, and just looking at things. And that came to council. Council modified the recommendation, was discussed here, and then it was approved. So we felt like it was successfully implemented. We did do information report to date, but following correspondence from residents, we did an information report that talked about funding allocations across Victoria County. So part of that report included a technical recommendation for the future to include self-disclosing on the application of which districts you feel the organization feels that is represented. So then we could incorporate that into the evaluation process to try to ensure that we're being fair and equitable in our decisions. So what this report, our initial report includes 2 further additions for this year for the grant evaluation process. So it's keeping the changes that have already been approved by council, but taking them another step further. So one of them is introducing a form of scoring rubric that the committee will use. So, and I'll get to an example of what this will look like. We're really just having a scoring rubric that the staff evaluation committee will use internally in preparing their recommendations or come to council. And just again, ensuring alignment with strategic priorities, measurable community impact, and demonstrated financial accountability. And then the second item here is to introduce the district specific reporting. So have organizations stay who they feel that they're representing as their organization and have that right on the information. So yeah, just continuing on with continuous improvement of this process. I mean, the whole thing is very new since 2020. So any changes that we can make along the way to make it better, and we're definitely open to implementing new things and seeing what works and see what doesn't work. So like a proposed rubric would have some categories, criteria, which comes from the grant policy, like things that are listed there are already within the grant policy. So the relevance of the expenditure, alignment of strategic priorities, community impact, financial need and justification, feasibility, organizational effectiveness, and geographic equity. So then coming up with a point system based on these weights, and then using that as just a tool for the committee to then guide the discussions in more form. So the recommendation in this paper would be to approve the implementation of these updates into the grant policy, so it would require an update to the actual policy. Direct staff to incorporate these updates into the grant application process. And it's kind of timely because the grant application is typically open at the beginning of January. So we're already like a month behind our usual process, which is fine. We'll just, we'll lengthen it on the other end. That doesn't cause any issues, but we would like to roll out the application like as soon as we can. So, bringing this forward as a recommendation, and then the policy, if council does choose to, pass these recommendations, the policy's updates will come next, but we would like to modify the application form. Right.
I think weighted rubric is brilliant. It's the one way to ensure there's consistency across society, because in education, you can't even function without a weighted rubric. So I think it's great. Have we ever looked into grant management software to try to streamline the process and take some, some of the work out of it for staff? There's some great grant management software like Flux, and there's a few of them, and there's free versions of them as well. So just something to look into, just to streamline the process a little bit. Sure.
Thank you. It's a lot of,
Yeah, no, and then that software can just take the really heavy lifting out of it.
But just let the new councilors know that this is passed, we do have the final say, right?
Yes, the change that happened last year was a big change. She's like to adopt a staff committee was something that hadn't been done in the past, but it ultimately is council's decision. So even when that recommendation came forward, discussion happened at this table and changes were made by council. So.
Yeah. So, we agree with the recommendations. Alex, any questions?
I agree, Alex, go ahead with those recommendations.
Pass it to possible. Right. We have a meeting.
You might want to go, John.
Do you want? Everybody's agreed?
Agree?
So we'll make that recommendation.
As long as we could get to review the rubric and approve the actual weighted rubric that would be used, would that be okay if we get to decide on whether or not it's?
Sure.
Yeah,
Like you would like the actual.
yeah, I'd like to see the draft of the rubric before it's finalized, and, okay.
Sure.
Okay. That's so, that's. So we had, village of Baddeck, CCBF, or gas tax, recommendation report.
Okay, so I don't have so this one was circulated, and I think everyone had a chance to review it, but I'll still go through it. So, the background of this report is that, back in December, we received, correspondence from the village looking for 3 invoices to be paid related to the water meter replacement program. We're recognizing the village receiving an HST rebate. The total is, just over $55,000. So the history here is that the municipality has allocated 15% of gas tax received to the village cadet under a long-standing agreement. We have held these funds separately. We don't automatically give the 15% to the village. And then requests come from the village for the use of those, and then we pay them as they're given. So the CCBF, which is formerly gas tax, which is a name that we just keep using, even though it's been a while since it changed. It's governed by municipal funding agreement with the province, but it's from the federal government. There's lots of rules, there's lots of requirements, there's lots of reporting. There are very specific categories which you can use gas tax for. You need pre-approval to use it for certain projects. So this has come before. So the report noted in 2023, we were talking about how the village is using the CCBF type funds, and then their reporting gets tied into our reporting. So it's been on the radar for a bit. So as of right now, on our books, historical as of March 31st, 2024, there's $189,010.95 on our books that really is the village's portion of historical gas tax. And then our operating budget for this year included another 15%, so it's approximately $65,000. So I'm bringing this forward because as of October 2024, there was the motion to rescind all agreements with the village. So looking to address the historical stuff, recognizing that going forward, there is going to be further negotiations to see how that looks moving forward. So the discussion on this is that the arrangement, the municipality assumes all of the administrative responsibilities. So like I said, there are a lot of reporting requirements on this because we report it to the province who then reports it to the feds. And it includes like things like signage, like when we use gas tax funds, there are rules that we have to put signage up to give the federal government the credit for that we use their funding. So we have to report signage, fill out signage reports to send back. So with this historical balance and recognizing that going forward, there will be some kind of negotiation on a future arrangement. What we're proposing is that we pay the village. So internally, we would transfer the funds from our capital reserve instead of calling it gas tax and transfer that to the village of Baddeck. So the recommendation is to transfer $189,010.95 to the village of Baddeck from our capital reserve. So then it's no longer called gas tax or CCBF. And removes the requirement for us to report on it. So they still get the funds, but we are no longer responsible for the administrative side on that fund. And also transfer the $65,000 from this year also to the village from our capital reserve again. So they're still getting the benefit of the money, but internally we are calling it a capital transfer instead of the use of gas tax funds. So those are the two big recommendations in this paper, and then it's just noted that in future negotiations with the village, just considering the impacts of tying something to the CCBF funding. We've talked to other municipalities in the province, and one in particular is moving away from the CCBF tie for villages. Specifically because of the reporting side, and they're not really our projects. So when we have to report on them, it creates some extra complexity. So just to give that consideration.
Okay. Thank you. So, also, we need your recommendation, set the recommendation from the CFO. Discuss.
I think we should do, I have one. I think we should do that and start new slate.
Anybody else?
I would recommend going with that decision as well and get future negotiate down the road.
So, everybody agree? Favor? So we'll do the recommendations and the council. Thanks, Alice. Good job. Thank you. So, still 17,
So sort of support those, based on our discussion, I will make the changes in your calendar invites for the committee of the whole. So we were supposed to meet February 10th. We will now meet February 24th because we're going to do committee of the whole announcement on the same day. So you're going to get bombarded with your email with calendar changes. And we live with 11 a.m.
what is it?
11 a.m.
Are you good with 11 a.m. committee of the whole?
Yeah, the same time as.
Yeah. And,
Okay, that's it. So I just remind you that we have ECT meeting. Thank you.